10 Scariest Interviews with Evil People. Hello everyone, welcome back to Non-Stop 10s. How inhuman a person can be. Well, no need to answer that because after this video, you'll be shocked to know how unapologetically inhuman some people are. Like imagine attempting an insane crime and on camera accepting all of that. And the person asking the questions, are they fearless? Well, let's find out. Stick till the end. This video is up another level. You'll find out about 10 Scariest Interviews with Evil People. Without wasting any time, let's get straight into the video. Number 1. Jorge Rivera fruitlessly attempts to glean coherence out of Charles Manson. To some, Charles Manson is that dude who spent time with the Beach Boys and wrote some oddly moving love songs. To others, he's the batshit insane cult leader who commanded his drugged-up followers to butcher a pregnant woman so it might start an excellent race war because he's believed that's what the Beatles really meant with Helter Skelter. While there are many interesting interviews with San Quentin's most infamous long-term resident, was it creepy? Well, stick to the end and I'm about to give you goosebumps. Number 2. Milwaukee's most famous cannibal calmly recounts his 13-year career in slaughter. From 1978 to 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer tortured, sexually abused, and murdered 17 young men, the bulk of them African American, together with his youngest victims being just 14 years old. But just you wait, it gets worse. You see, Dahmer wasn't just content with drilling holes in people's skulls and pouring acid on their brains and strangling them to death with leather straps while watching The Exorcist 3, he was also quite keen on, well, eating their remains and using their severed body parts for home decor. During this Inside Edition interview, Dahmer also coolly discusses his routine, describing the surge of energy he experienced while sawing up corpses, so as to preserve their physical beauty. Then things get really weird. He starts talking about how he began having deviant fantasies when he was 15. Then he discusses, with a tone as mundane as if he were talking about the weather, what the human heart tastes like, and this is just one occasion he brought a severed head to figure, only for the lulz. Number 2. Ted Bundy lies like a rug in front of James Dobson. Clearly, a lot of us know him already. Just hours before Ted Bundy was executed in 1989, he sat down for a final interview with focus on the family founder James Dobson. Bundy, who confessed to murdering 30 women, but whose total kill count may exceed 100 victims, used the TV time to explain away his gruesome misdeeds on, what else? Looking at too much damn pornography. Instead of taking responsibility for his own actions, Bundy played Dobson, considered by many to be the father of the modern conservative evangelical movement, like a fiddle, claiming the sinister X-rated entertainment literally possessed him and drove him to kill, and kill some more. Claiming a last-second conversion to Christianity, Bundy goes on to feign sympathy for the untold lives he wrecked, before sternly declaring that every town in America is at risk of subsequent sexual homicides because dagnabbit, violent media is just so golden accessible. When I see what's on cable TV, some of the movies, he declares at one point, to know that children are watching that kind of thing today, it's scary when I think what would have happened to me, and I'm scary enough. Indeed, heartfelt words from a man whose string of crimes includes the brutal rape, torture, and homicide of 12-year-old kids. And as you would expect, Dobson totally fell for the ruse, hook, line, and sinker. Number 4. The Night Stalker mugs it up for the camera. In the mid-1980s, Richard Ramirez terrorized Southern California with a string of gruesome home invasion murders, and after murdering 13 people, the so-called Night Stalker was sentenced to death. In a rare interview with Inside Edition, Ramirez smiles like a Cheshire cat when the interviewer asks why he felt the need to break into people's houses and beat the tenants to death with tire irons, aloofly stating no comment, "I cannot answer at this time," while trying to contain his homicidal laughter. Like Bundy, Ramirez attempted to throw off the interviewer with some pseudo-philosophical bullshit about poverty and child abuse, creating a recipe for serial killers, but it's glaringly apparent to anyone watching the video that this creep killed, maimed, tortured, and mutilated simply because he enjoyed it. "I believe in the evil in human nature," he states. "This is a wicked world, and in a wicked world, wicked people are born." Number 5. A man who dressed like a clown and murdered children puts up the worst "I'm innocent" plea of all time. 13 years after being convicted of murdering 33 young men, the youngest just 14 years old, and burying their molding corpses in the crawl space of his Chicago home, John Wayne Gacy sat down with reporter Walter Jacobson for an extremely rare interview. His intent? By golly, he wanted to let the whole world know that he was framed. In the feeble attempt to garner himself a new trial before his date with the lethal injection needle, Gacy proceeded to spit out one golly whopper of a lie after the other, stating among other brass-balled mistruths. that he had undergone 5 hours of truth serum-assisted lie detector tests and that he didn't believe in physically punishing his disobedient children. Proving himself to be the absolute least qualified person in human history to ever provide legal defense, Gacy at one point slips up during the interview, telling the interviewee that one of his victims was, and I quote, "not one that I killed." Alas, you can't slight Gacy's quick wit. After being called out on his bullshit, he promptly responded with "strike that then, it's wrong." Needless to say, Gacy never got the retrial, and in 1994 he was executed by the state of Illinois. Ever the charming, remorseful sort, his alleged final words were the heartfelt, truly sympathetic refrain, "kiss my ass." Number 6, a Ron Swanson lookalike who killed 10 women tells you everything you want to know about the mass murder trade. While Ed Kemper doesn't have the name brand recognition of a Jeffrey Dahmer or a John Wayne Gacy, he nonetheless carved out a rather gruesome legacy for himself. From 1964 to 1973, the 6'9", 250-pound-plus Kemper killed at least 10 individuals, including his mother and both paternal grandparents, and earned the nickname the Coed Butcher. Due to his predilection for targeting female college students in California, believed to have an IQ in the genius range, you can certainly tease out the distressing coherence from the confirmed cannibal and necrophile in his 1991 interview, in which he lays out precisely how and why he turned to murdering strangers as a recreational activity. After telling the interviewer about his childhood fondness for playing electric chair, Kemper goes all psychoanalytical on us, describing how he used to drive around picking up hitchhikers as practice for disarming soon-to-be victims, whose sexual torture and mutilation he deems a subconscious way of getting back at his mama, who never introduced him to any young women when he got out of prison in his early 20s. Number 7. Coed killer learns the body he thought he got rid of was just discovered by police on camera. Compared to the rest of the heavy hitters on this list, Stephen McDaniel is definitely a lightweight. Still, he's worthy of including on the list because, unlike everybody else on this countdown, he had the honor of being interviewed live by a television news crew before he was convicted of murder or even arrested for that matter. Your dime-a-dozen graduate school wacko, McDaniel apparently had the hots for his next-door neighbor, Lauren Giddings, but after she rebuffed his romantic intentions, he reacted as would any rationally thinking, lovelorn 28-year-old. He broke into her house while wearing a mask and strangled her to death. McDaniel, who then hacked up his victim's corpse like some sort of bad 1980s horror movie villain, was so convinced that he had committed the ultimate crime that he had no hesitations about being interviewed by a local TV camera crew. Alas, it was during that interview that McDaniel found out the police had discovered Gilding's remains, and you can practically pinpoint the moment on video in which his mask of sanity shatters into a million billion pieces. Number 8, the all-time U.S. serial killing record holder waxes nostalgic on his mommy issues. The name Gary Ridgway may not ring a bell first, that's primarily because he's better known as the Green River Killer, who's between 1982 and 1998 killed at least 4 dozen women in the Pacific Northwest, although he confessed to 70 and may be responsible for 90 plus. In this undated interview, Ridgway spends a majority of his time talking about just how mean and spiteful his mama was, which he said goaded him into stabbing his schoolmates and torturing small animals in his youth. Granted, that alone is creepy enough, but just you wait until he gets to the part about the peculiar sensations he felt watching his mother sunbath in the backyard. Needless to say, Norman Bates ain't got nothing on this sicko mama's boy. Number 9, the man who probably killed John Walsh does his best Beavis impersonation. Colloquially known as the Jacksonville Cannibal, Otis Toole is probably best known for 2 things. First, his chummy relationship with fellow serial killer Henry Lee Lucas, and being officially named as the man who abducted, murdered, and decapitated the child of America's Most Wanted host, John Walsh. While Toole bragged to officials about killing scores of victims, he was only charged with 2 slayings, with another 4 homicides added to his mega-super-duper life sentence in 1991. In this interview from 1993, the man who fancied himself some arson alongside his grave robbings begins by talking about his pyromaniac desire to watch an entire city burn, before segueing into his philosophy on murder. Perhaps pleasing PETA, he tells the interviewer that in his mind, killing a person is no different than stepping on a bug or roasting a hog. At number 10, Eileen Bueno proves women can be every bit as homicidally insane as their male counterparts. I know what you're thinking. Boy, this countdown has sure been a stark raving mad sausage party. Well, how about we add a woman's flair to the madcap? On-camera antiques by the one and only Eileen Bueno, the infamous Florida prostitute who over the course of 2 years shot and killed 7 men, In this interview, recorded just hours before she received a lethal injection in 2002, Wuornos wastes no time at all before her eyeballs start bulging out of her skull, and she starts claiming she's been subject to supersonic weaponry torture since the late 1990s. And with this, we've come to the end of this video. Which one was the creepiest? Let me know in the comments section, and I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and also don't forget to hit that like button for more updates.